Hi to all of you. It's really great to see everyone from all over Turkey in a community of practice like this. Me and my PhD student Jayda, she is also here. Are you there, Jayda? Do you want to say hi? Maybe I can activate your camera and you can say hi to everyone, because we are together in this job, let's say. In this project, Jayda is working as a research assistant. So let me just activate her camera. I hope it will work.
Can you see me?
It's very dark.
Okay. Sorry. How is it now?
Better.
It's working fine. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jayda. Welcome to our this webinar. Yes.
Do you know Özlem Hoca?
More people. Yes.
Do you know Özlem Hoca already?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Oh, great. If anybody during the webinar, if you have any questions, if you want to say anything during the webinar, please raise your hand. So I want to begin with explaining why we decided to cover the post-method pedagogy in this webinar series. We conducted at the beginning of this research project, it's a Marie Curie project granted by the European Commission, by the way. It's a 4-year grant, and we are in the last year of the project. So in the first year, we conducted a questionnaire, a study to do a needs analysis and asked the teachers, 820 teachers actually in Turkey, to give us feedback about their professional development needs. And most of them said that they want to learn about new approaches. And in terms of an approach, there is nothing new really. So that's why, in order to cover the need for new approaches, I thought the post-method pedagogy could be the right address, because we can, in a way, refresh our knowledge about the methodology, ELT methodology we learned in undergraduate years, maybe in master's or PhD. So, and exchange some ideas. I will try to make it as practical as possible, because I don't really want to make it a boring theoretical. I don't want this webinar to turn out to be a boring theoretical webinar. But it's obviously, rather than providing us ready-made prescribed techniques, this webinar, we are working in the field. Sure. This webinar will leave all of us some food for thought away from, okay. So I know, but I will try to remind that to myself often. So let me just repeat what I said. This particular webinar is not going to teach us any prescribed ready-made techniques, but it will leave us with some food for thought. What am I doing, and am I really applying post-method pedagogy? So, okay. I want to start with this question. Can you describe your surroundings? Are you in a living room? Are you in the kitchen? Are you in the study room? So you are in the kitchen, okay, as usual. What do you see? Like, what's the first thing that you see when you look around? Özlem? Latife is in the living room. We have some more participants. I see that there are 8 people right now. Özdem and Ali, they are here. Jayda says that she has a TV in front of her. Oh, okay. We live on the coast of Black Sea. So, Özlem, did you, the view of the sea? Did you say that you have a sea view right now? Right this moment? Okay. Yeah. Özlem, forgive me if I'm getting confused with names, but Özlem, you had a 2-year-old daughter, right? Were you? 3-year-old, sorry. You had 2 years of teaching experience? Oh no, okay, then maybe she was a different teacher. I'm sorry. So what do you see? Latife hocam, where are you? What do you see around yourself? I guess I'm window. Okay, flower. Okay, sorry, I must have missed that. Okay, sorry. Who else do we have here? Ali. Ali, are you Ali Ulus or are you Ali only? Okay. Because I know him from somewhere else. Is this your first time in a webinar? Probably it's not, but I just want to ask still. Okay, secret. No, it's not. Okay. So I guess I'm just gonna continue with my following question. It's Menti time as usual. So I will ask you whether you can, or to write the names of all ELT methods you can remember. So in order to do that, no, not there, Özlem. We are using something called Mentimeter. You need to go to, using your cell phones, you need to go to menti.com. It's on the screen actually, on the PowerPoint, and use the code 385163. And you will just add or write all the methods that you can remember there. Is it working fine? I will do that now. I was just making sure that everybody gets the code. Maybe I can write the code here. 385163. So let me share my screen and I will. We have total physical response. We have Suggestipedia right now. Grammar translation method. TPM. Did you mean TPR? Probably. Or maybe it's something new that I'm not aware of. Communicative approach. Audiolingual method. Do not look anywhere. This is only from your memory, what you can remember, whatever you can remember. Audiolingual, we have this second time. PPP, task-based learning. ECRIF. Okay, that's something I'm not familiar with. Maybe I am, but I don't know the acronyms. task-based language teaching, silent way. Okay, what else we are gonna get? Project-based method, community language learning, direct method. Guess we covered most of them. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Ages ago, when that's why we're yeah. Wow, 21 years of teaching. Özlem hocam. That's a lot of years. I think it's perfectly normal to forget about the names of these methods, because I'm teaching the course every year. Only this year I did not teach ELT methodology, and I have to read the content from scratch, and to remind myself of the principles and role of the teacher, role of the students. A lot of information to keep in mind, actually. So let's just go over. We are not going to go into. Actually, there was something I don't want to. EC. What was that? ECRIP. Who wrote that on the menti.com page? Okay, what is that, Banu? If I can I turn on your microphone, and can you tell us about it briefly, if you don't mind? Would you mind? Banu, can I turn on your microphone, and would you? No, I will do that. So let me try doing that. I have to give you the activate your voice. So can you tell us about that method? What was it?
Okay. Well, I will try. It is an approach that I learned recently, like let's say 2 years ago. It works well with students who need some grammar instruction. For instance, like first of all, let me explain what ECRIF is. E is encounter, so we start the lesson with showing some pictures of the context, let's say. C is clarify. After students encounter with the context, we clarify briefly the grammar point. R is remember. We give some controlled exercise to students to do in class. Group I is internalize. We keep with more semi-controlled activities in class, and fluency is basically type of activities that allow students to work on their own in pairs or small groups. It's very similar to PPP, but it's a little bit more detailed and can give teachers a bit hard time in terms of planning because it requires a lot of time. It's very similar to other approaches.
And there was one more letter, I guess. Did we skip one?
Fluency. Encounter, clarify, remember, internalize, and fluency.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, Jada is asking who coined this approach. Do you know?
I have no idea. We have two very good teacher trainers in our institution, Yaşar University Prep Class, Hakan and Hande. They observe our lessons every year, and 2 years ago, when one of them was about to observe my lesson, I learned about this method from them, and I tried it for the first time for the observation purposes, but I liked it a lot, and since then I have been using it quite a lot. But recently I've been teaching listening and speaking mostly, so I haven't used ECRI for a long time now.
Okay. Özlem Hoca is asking a question.
Of course.
I wonder if it's about this. Do students like it? who says?
I don't know. I mean, students, well, obviously, they are not really aware of what approaches we use in the classroom. As long as the activities and the visuals we bring to class is like entertaining for them or engaging for them, then they like it. Yes, it depends on the material rather than the approach.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, great!
Ulus
Now
Ali
you
found
know.
out a recent article about it. So,
Thank you.
Jada, can you copy that link somewhere so that we can send the link, include the link in our email that we are going to send after this webinar? Thank you. So, Banu, do you have anything else to say?
About
Anything
Echo?
else?
No, not actually. No, no, not yet. Thank you very much. You can turn off my mic if you need to.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
So, learning is everywhere. I didn't know about this. It's actually more than a method. I think it can be considered a technique. It seems to me, but we are not really concerned about the labels here that much. So let me just move on. Okay. The early approaches in ELT, they were grammar translation, the direct method in the 19th century, oral approach and situational language teaching in 1920s, 1930s, and the audiolingual method when behaviorism was really gaining control in the whole world. It was around 1940s. So then we have the designer methods, the alternative methods, not alternative actually, designer methods, I want to call them. Total physical response, very famous one. Probably we use it more often compared to the other methods, I guess. That's actually my next question. I want to ask you whether or how many of these methods have you used after you learned them in your undergraduate education or in your master's level education. How many of these methods have you used? How many of them are you using? Which one of them are can be practically used in real classroom settings? So, silent way, community language learning. I think we all entered these, right? They were on the Menti page. No, thank you. We always welcome new information. Thank you, Ali. I asked this question to you before, but do you prefer Ali or Ulus? I think I was calling you Ulus the last time. Now you wrote there Ali, so I'm confused. Okay, Ulus. So we have Suggestopedia, the lexical approach. I think we did not have the lexical approach on our Menti page. Competency-based language teaching, we did not have that one either. Richards and Rogers list these under designer approaches, but they're not really designed to teach languages, as you know, whole language approach. It was a method to teach literacy skills to children. Multiple intelligences theory, neurolinguistic programming. These are some theories, like peripheral theories, maybe we can call them, that we have transferred to use in our field. Khalil, yes, I think most private schools right now are doing that, but as a teacher who are working in a state school, this is very hopeful, promising to hear that you are working on Khalil. Maybe if you want to say a few things on that, I can activate your microphone, Özlem Hocam, if you feel comfortable. Or maybe after I ask my question about which methods are you using, you can Okay. So current communicative approaches, there are the communicative language teaching, the natural approach, cooperative language learning, content-based instruction, task-based language learning. I think we did not have content-based instruction on the Menti page. So my next question is, how many of these methods have you used so far? Which ones are applicable in our classrooms? You can type in your answers in the box, or if you want to, or if you have anything to say, I can turn on your microphone if you prefer that. We have Özlem Hoca, Latife Hoca, Banu, Ulus, Özlem, Ceyda, Gizem. We have been using many of them in a way. Yes. Which one do you use more frequently, Özlem Hoca? Communicative approach. We are used to that lexical approach. Task-based language learning maybe at times. If depending on the book. Banu says task-based. She uses it a lot. We are following our course books. They guide us, Özlem says, Özlem Hoca says. How about the other participants, attendees? So Jada, you are using an eclectic. You have an eclectic approach. Can we say that? Yes. Okay. So we're moving towards how the post-method pedagogy started to emerge in the 1990s. People, the scholars in language pedagogy field, they were questioning the modernist perspectives actually to language teaching. You know, there are these prescribed roles for the teacher, for the students, and it can be generalized to all cultures. If it is good in Sweden, it can be used in a village in Turkey as well. So there was this illusion somehow, and the teacher's role basically was to understand and apply the methods as prescribed. So that was remember your undergraduate years. You know, we were not really empowered, I feel, to create or come up with our own theory. Nobody told us that. I got my undergraduate in Boğaziçi University, teaching English as a second foreign language department, but they were teaching us communicative language teaching mostly, and I was not aware that I can come up with my own theory in the future as I gain some experience. I thought I will just apply these methods, and they also told us, you know, the best one is an eclectic method, like something from all of these methods, depending on your needs. You can get something from all of these, but again, they are not learner-centered because of the prescribed nature of the methods. Like it's we were supposed to use it as it is without manipulating much, or there is lack of teacher creativity. Teachers are expected to take it and apply in their own settings. At least this was the situation in 1990s. It may not be the situation right now, but that was the case. People started to think about these methods as or consider them as tools for cultural imperialism. So they started to question, why do we need to use these methodologies? Most of them are coined by Western scholars. So then came the post-method pedagogy from Kumaravadivelu. It's like a riddle, actually, very hard to pronounce. Kumaravadivelu. He wrote his first article in 1994 on the post-method pedagogy. So he suggested an alternative method. Like he said that we don't have to stick with these methods. Each pedagogy is local. There are particularities of each context, and teachers are, ideally, researchers are producing theories in their isolated rooms, in their ivory towers. The situation may not be very different right now anyways, and then they tell teachers to apply those theories. So post-method pedagogy argues that. He says we cannot realize all, Jada says that we cannot realize all aims and objectives through one set of pedagogical principles and procedures. Yes. And so the post-method pedagogy mainly suggests that teachers should come up with their own theories from practice, create or theorize from practice, and then practice what they theorized. So teachers should have, the theories should be teacher generated, not researcher generated only. So that's what the post-method pedagogy suggests. And teacher autonomy, of course, is a big thing. We will talk about those. Teachers in this method, in the post-method era, really, they need to be, where are my notes? I wrote them down somewhere. They need to be observing all the time, evaluating the factors, contextual factors, identifying problems, finding solutions, trying them again. The teacher in the post-method era needs to be very willing to constantly reflecting on his practice. Are you all with me? I know I have been talking for a while, but Banu says yes, Özlem Hocam says yes. Okay, it's good to Gizem, great. Latife Hocam, thank you very much. So that's why teacher autonomy is really important if you want to be a post-method teacher. If you want to claim that you are a post-method teacher, you should be willing to constantly, in a way, do teacher research. When we say teacher research, it sounds like very complicated. We have to be using complex statistical analysis, but Kumaravadivelu says that it's not like that. It doesn't mean teacher research doesn't mean using complex statistics. It's just you just need some autonomy, some willingness to observe and critically think about your conditions rather than giving up and blaming the environment. If you remember from the first webinar, in reflective practice webinar, we talked about the onion model. If you are not familiar with that, we will upload the first webinar, archived webinar on the project website, so you can go to that site and watch the archived webinar on reflective practice later on. So I will try to speed up a little bit. It's almost 8:15. Then he suggested three operating principles for the post-merit pedagogy: particularity, practicality, and possibility. I want to ask you, in fact, I wanted to ask you if you heard about the post-merit pedagogy, or how familiar you were. If you can answer that, how familiar you were with the post-merit pedagogy before this webinar. Banu, you haven't heard of it. Banu, are you a graduate of in the English Language and Literature program? Yes, probably that is. But from my undergraduate years, I don't remember any emphasis on the post-merit era, post-merit pedagogy. I don't remember anything about it. But we read the Richards and Rogers book, but it was not emphasized at all. So Özlem, you were okay. You are also a graduate of English Language and Literature. Thanks. Özlem hocam, are you as well? ELT. Okay. English Language and Literature. Yes. So it's not a problem at all. We are just going to learn or familiarize ourselves with this method in this webinar. Let's talk about some of these operating principles briefly. What does he mean by particularity? What does he mean by practicality and possibility? So particularity, as the name suggests, refers to a context-sensitive, location-specific pedagogy. What does that mean? That means that language pedagogy must be relevant and sensitive to a particular group of teachers, a particular group of learners, a particular set of goals, particular institutional context, and particular sociocultural milieu. You know, the teachers in Sweden, the learners in Sweden, their purposes of teaching English, the institutional context, the sociocultural milieu, these are all different in Sweden. I was actually there last week for a conference, and I'm interested in how they are teaching English language. One of the things that I think what makes them successful in language teaching is that they don't have any dubbed television. So everything they hear, of course, apart from Swedish programs, they don't dub the programs. They hear English all the time, starting from childhood. It's in the culture. So they only read the subtitles in Swedish. So I think that makes a huge difference, for instance, in terms of sociocultural milieu, sorry. And the institutional context. Of course, the classroom sizes, you know, even if you get your support from your school principal or not, that is your fact. That's a local fact you have. So definitely your particularities are unique. Every teacher's particularities are unique. And all pedagogy, that's why, is local. So that's what we understand from particularity. Is there anyone here who wants to give any examples from their own local realities, let's say, from their own particularities? From Izmir, from Zonguldak, from Bartın. How great we have teachers from everywhere. the goals change a lot if you are teaching in a well-established, let's say, high-achieving school, and versus if you are teaching in a village in the eastern part of Turkey. So the even university entrance exam, maybe definitely that's a huge obstacle, I think. A friend of mine is working at an Anatolian high school here, one of the good ones. And the last year students, it's impossible to do anything with them. They will beat you to death if you try to, cover something in the classes. They want to be like solving problems, getting ready for the exam. So that's a very big reality right there that we have in terms of the institutional context and sociocultural milieu. So the problem, though, you have all these realities, all these particularities, but do you really give in? Do you really stop? Is the solution not doing anything? Of course not. So you have to be. Students don't understand the importance of language learning. Latife Hocam, I think it is very, yeah. We will talk about the possibility in the possibility section. We will talk about that. So let me just move on to practicality. Jada, they will like online games or online exercises, not teaching for that group maybe, but using online entertaining websites. You mean for the students who are going to take the language exam, do you mean? Could be just to use the class as to help them relax and have fun, maybe. So the second operating principle is practicality. Again, as the name suggests, post-method pedagogy is against. Özlem says that by involving them in each winning projects to point to the importance of language learning. Like giving them some authentic environments, right? Jada does that a lot actually with her students, and in the following webinar, we will invite some teachers from Croatia and Egypt so that they can share their experiences about online projects with us. I think it's a great approach in that sense. So see, this is one solution. If the students are do not see the importance of learning a language, you can show them, create real environments for them so that they can speak, communicate in an authentic environment. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, they don't understand each other. The only way they can understand each other is the English. Okay, the practicality refers, or the post-method pedagogy is against the idea that scholars should produce knowledge, theories, and teachers should apply them without having any say in it. So that's why practicality principle encourages teachers to theorize from practice and practice what they theorize. You are powerful enough to create your own theories, and it doesn't have to be a very complicated one, based on your own particularities. You come up with your own set of principles to explain what language learning means for you and for your students. So, but this is again not possible to achieve teacher-generated theory if the teachers are not willing to observe all the time, evaluate, identify the problems, find solutions, try other solutions. So it's really not about giving up and complaining. The environmental factors, the class sizes, the textbooks. If you have some realities, what kind of solutions you can produce, keeping those realities in mind? Giving up is really not the way out. Özlem Hocam says that language learning is also in the horizontal priorities of European Commission. Latife Hocam, you said, I agree, Özlem, I tried this year. What is it that you tried? Projects? Each winning, yes. There seem to be lots of opportunities with e-twinning projects and Erasmus. Yes. I want to ask you at this point, is there something you theorized from practice? Is there something you theorized? But can you really claim that you have your own theory of language teaching? How do you teach English? Do you have a theory, personal theory? You use gamification, drama. It really works, gamification. So maybe the principle there is my students can learn or can get motivated in a much better way if I use games. That's a set of a principle right there. Technology, gamification elements, yes. For vocabulary teaching, contextualization, practice, and production are very important. From my experience in vocabulary class I gained during 2 semesters, Jayda says, especially on online environments. Yes. The last operating principle of the post-method pedagogy is pedagogy of possibility. A pedagogy of possibility. What do we understand by this? Are you familiar with the Brazilian, where is my book? The Brazilian educator Paulo Freire. Have you heard of this book before? Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Ezilenlerin pedagojisi in Turkish. He supports transformative education. And the pedagogy of possibility actually is based on Paulo Freire's ideas about transformative education. So, and what do we understand by that? You know, we teach language, so the materials that we use in our classrooms, they can transform the learners. You know, they will help during their identity formation, and their sociopolitical consciousness will increase. Do you know what I mean here? So language is a really suitable, I couldn't complete the sentence there. I will before I send you the PowerPoints. Language is a very suitable tool to do that, language teaching. So Let me just look at. I will also share this article with you toward post-method. Let me show it. Post-method pedagogy, because it's really worth reading and thinking about. Oh, let's just go back to the possibility. Yes, he gave an example, for instance, about the Tamil students of English in Sri Lanka. Kanagaraja, he is also he publishes a lot in TESOL Quarterly. He was the editor of Suresh Kanagaraja. Anyways, hard to pronounce. So I'm just going to read it for you. He reports how Tamil students of English in civil war-torn Sri Lanka offered resistance to Western representations of English language and culture, and how they, motivated by their own cultural and historical backgrounds, appropriated the language and used it on their own terms according to their own aspirations, needs, and values. He reports how the Tamil students, through marginal comments and graphics, actually reframed, reinterpreted, and rewrote the content of their ESL textbooks, written and produced by Anglo-American authors. So I'm really curious about this case. I want to look into that more closely. Says that the students reframed, reinterpreted, rewrote the content of their ESL textbooks. And this was reported in 1999, long time ago. So the pedagogy of possibility means that we are not just teaching language, we are also helping them form their identities, the students, and the social transformation will happen at the end of this. It's a bit philosophical, but I think it makes sense. In a way, it suggests that there is activism against imperialism. There could be, depending on the context, of course. I'm not sure. Do you think teaching culture also? Yes. So it's a dilemma. You know, you have to be teaching the culture of the target language, but how far do you go with that? Could you be influencing their identity formation in a negative way? How would they get influenced by these? But eventually, all students, all learners are in this. We are all in this together. Are we tired already? Are you thinking, or what are you doing right now? Anybody who is willing to share their opinions about the post-method pedagogy so far? Oh, Nalan Demir is here. We have another teacher just joined. Hi, Nalan Hocam. We are almost done, but welcome. We are very happy to see you as well. Which city are you from? Oh, Gümüşhane. We have another teacher from Barton, actually. You're close to each other. And what level are you teaching? High school. We have two more teachers who are teaching in high school. Okay, so can we say that the resistance coming from our students about, especially about, I thought for 1 year in Kasımpaşa in a middle school, like middle, and it was a combination of elementary and middle, ilköğretim okulu at that time. So I taught for 1 year there, and there were students, and I'm sure there are many of them. They are influenced by their parental values, probably. Why are we learning their language? They should come and learn our language. So how do you deal with that? Because I think it's about the pedagogy of possibility. It's in a way how do you deal with that? That's what the students ask, right? Do they learn Turkish? So why are we learning English? Did you mean that, Latife Hocam? You just suggest that they look into their mobile phones? Or the games they play, so that they can be familiar with the language of technology. Yes, most of the games are designed in English. Explain the importance. It's important to give students some real reasons to learn a foreign language, Banu says. Thank God we have refugee students as well. Do you have, Nalan Hocam, I really wanted to talk with a teacher in 2 Afghan students. Okay, how about their English levels? Do they speak Turkish well? Did you mean that, Latife Hocam? Okay, Nalan Hocam, would you be willing to, can I turn on your voice? Would you be willing to share your experiences with us? Okay, great. So I'm going to turn on your microphone. I hope we can work it out quickly. Maybe you can just tell us about your experiences by writing in the chat box. How old are the students and how much? Yeah, if possible, because it's really interesting. It makes a big difference, right? In terms of the pedagogy of, when you think about the pedagogy of practicality. Sorry, particularity. You missed that part when we talked about particularity, but it was about the institutional context, the sociocultural environment. All those factors are at stake. I wish we could hear your voice. One is at prep class, 14 years, and he's good at both ICT and learning language. What do you mean by ICT? Just to make sure. The other one is at 9th grade. The other one is at 9th grade. One is at prep class, 14 years. And so, do they speak Turkish or English with each other? How does that work? They speak Turkish as natives. How long have you been living in Turkey? Sorry, how long have they been living in Turkey? Has been here since 7? About probably 7, 6, 7 years. 4th grade. Okay, yes. I remembered Cummins, the Canadian scholars, what he said about basic communication skills and academic skills. You know, basic communication skills take 3 to 5 years for them, and academic skills in Turkish, it takes from 5 to 7 years to actually really come to a native speaker level. It's a lot of years, not that easy. Okay, so what difference does it make in terms of your institutional, the sociocultural environment or the classroom environment, let's say? What difference does it make having these 2 Afghan students? Gümüşhane is poor in terms of cultural diversity, so yeah, it probably raises their intercultural awareness, cultural awareness. They get to ask them the questions about Afghan culture. But how does it influence the English, your theory of English, teaching English? Can I ask you that? How does it or does it change it in any ways in terms of English teaching practices? What difference does it make? It's not really, yeah. As they behave like the others, I do not have problems in terms of translation. You mean you can speak Turkish freely when you need to? Okay. So the support personnel is actually here to help us, but I think it's when it comes to cultural issues, we take the advantage of them. Okay, definitely. So even raising that intercultural awareness is an important gain that the students are getting in their identity formation, right? So it's pedagogy, in terms of pedagogy of possibility, you take advantage of that. I'm just going to move to the sorry, it's been a tough day for me. Concluding remarks. Richards and Rogers say that in the early stages, teaching is largely a matter of applying procedures and techniques developed by others. An approach or a predetermined method with its associated activities, principles, and techniques may be an essential point for an inexperienced teacher, but it should be seen only as that. Neil, I think we don't need to do that now. So what does this mean? What does this quote by Richards and Rogers mean? It is when you are starting the teaching profession as a novice teacher, you may not feel that power in you. So you might stick with the traditional designer methods or contemporary, like current approaches, and you might want to apply communicative language teaching verbatim when you are teaching. But that will only last, or should only last, a few years as you experience and start to generate your own ideas, own theories from your own experiences, by taking into account the operating principles, particularities, practicality, and possibility. So forming your own personal knowledge as a language teacher is the most valuable thing. Not giving up or not blaming the external factors all the time, not but accepting your realities, the institutional context, the sociopolitical factors, and trying to find ways to teach the language in the best way you can, in a way, or that's true for all of us. So rather than relying on researcher-based theories, we should be coming up with our own theories. And this will happen through teacher research, through constant observation, evaluation, trying out new solutions, identifying problems. And this takes some willingness, really. Anything else you wanted to add? I know it's time for us to end the session. This is the price we pay when we make it a bit interactive. It takes a bit more time. Are you all there? No one is left. Anything else you want to add? I hope, as I said at the beginning, it will not give you some tips, ready-made tips, techniques for language teaching, but it will provide us a framework and help us, I think, to think about our own teaching practices. I will share the articles with you. There is also another good article by Prabhu. There is no best method why. I will share these articles with you. And also the PowerPoint presentation after the webinar. The book I mentioned, you mean The Pedagogy of the Oppressed? This one? Özlem? It's Ezilenlerin Pedagojisi. This is a bit political though. I'm not sure if you are interested in political stuff, but this is a very good, it's not about teaching English, it's about education in general, the power of education's transformational power, let's say. So how liberating education can be, but in the next webinar, we will talk about online projects. Actually, Jada will be the leading presenter in the next one, in the third one. She will have some guests from Croatia and Egypt, right, Jada? They will all be sharing how you find partners from other countries, Okay, and another guest from Turkey. How do you form these relationships? What kind of online projects do you make? So we will all learn from their experiences, especially speaking projects. Any last concluding remarks you have? Jada, are they going to be different from e-twinning? I think e-twinning will be one way of doing that. I hope they will talk about other possibilities, other opportunities. So, two of the guest speakers are teachers who do e-twinning. The Egyptian teacher is not doing e-twinning, but she works for British Council, so she has access to lots of resources. She might share something we don't know. Great, Özlem Hocam. It was a pleasure for me to be with you, with all of you, and thank you for participating actively during the webinar. And I think webinars with few people usually work better. So I hope it will give us some food for thought. Post-method pedagogy.